everyone. Welcome to our special edition, special Sunday edition of Honest Hour. We got this week and next week, and that's it. That's it. Sundays are done, and we'll be moving the Thursdays to Tuesdays as well. As football season approaches and I do my sports show, got to be able to have the time to keep up with the NFL and the NBA. A little easier to keep up with the NBA, but the NFL, we like to talk about those things and have that conversation. So we make it happen. But I hope everyone had a good weekend. These weekends are too short, like way too short. Like here we are, Sunday already. Just left work Friday, exhausted. Had a long week, but that's part of it. Our guest tonight is a brother of mine, RandB. His brother's from Detroit. He does the Big Three Man Talk podcast on here, on all platforms. He's a really down-to-earth guy. He's been on here for that show, as well as I've been on his show a couple of times. And he's been a guest on our sports show. He will be on the NFL preview episode coming. September 2nd, Labor Day, will be that episode. So he's already in the room. So we're going to invite him in. Jesus. I need a bigger desk. As soon as that goes through. And what's going on with you, bro?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
I can't complain. How about you?
Chilling, man. Just enjoying life. And my camera right here.
Yep, you good. I can see you. Appreciate it. How's your? We ain't tapped in a few days. Like we usually talk pretty much every day. But since we brothers now, man. You one of my friends, like for real, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I hope one day we can meet in person. We gotta make that happen.
Definitely. We definitely got to make that happen, man.
Whether you want to come to New York and see the boroughs of the city, or hell, you can come here and I'll go there. I know Detroit's one of those towns where you don't go there unless you know somebody. If you don't know nobody, you don't have no business being there. But
it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad.
Okay. So it's just a moniker out here. Then it's not really as bad as its reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. It's like
it can
that
get
too.
there. You just gotta know where to be at. I'll say that. You gotta know what areas to go to and what areas not to go to.
Fair enough. Just like anywhere else.
Exactly.
I'm from a small town called Newburgh, and they be having crazy stuff happen there. But there are surrounding towns that have the same amount of crime, or sometimes even worse crime, and they don't get that media attention. Because just Newburgh, for whatever reason, has that high media attention. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. You said you wanted to tell your story. I still got the notes here that I took when we had our phone call, as well as a whole interview, as you can see.
Let me get comfortable then.
I usually try to keep these episodes like under an hour and a half, but sometimes it just don't flow that way. Like on Thursday, my guest Raya, I was like, she's like, is there a timer that's gonna cut us off? So this show is never an hour unless the guest tells me beforehand. That's all they got. If not, I said I try to do an hour and a half or less, but it don't always flow that way. I mean, Drink Champs episodes, some of them are 5 hours, you know.
Got you.
But we're gonna start right from the beginning. Detroit, Motor City, the D, whatever anyone wants to call it. You're from there. You grew up there. What was your experience like growing up in Detroit?
Man, humbling, I should say.
Okay.
Um, man, I mean, Detroit is Detroit. You gotta love it. You know, I came from the rural areas, you know, what they would call the ghetto, um, or the hood. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
guess. Um, man, I mean, it was a good experience though because it taught me a lot. It made me tough. It gave me a humble mindset. Um, you know what I'm saying? I love my city. I love my city. I love being from Detroit. Like it's a good city. I think it was a good place to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Given the circumstances. You know, I come from a single parent household. My mom did the best she could do. You know what I'm saying? So I still feel blessed.
Absolutely. And that's not always easy either. I grew up, single mother. I was an only child. But I know what you mean, in that sense. But it seems like you learned a lot and you gained a lot of humility through your time growing up and coming up in that. So when you were younger, what were some of your interests, some of your hobbies that you did as a kid and even into your teenage years?
I mean, you already know. Definitely play some sports.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we from the youth to the adolescent, whatever. And we get out there. You know, throw the football around. Big old wrestling. Play a little basketball. Even played a little baseball here and there. You know, when we felt like it. So just normal kid stuff that kids don't do anymore today. Honestly, you know, just getting out having fun outside, playing and shit like that. But but definitely, but my main interest and hobbies for me growing up, even from a young age, was music. I always loved music, man. I used to steal my sister's tapes. Um, my sister had the best music when I was younger, like growing up.
Right.
She the one who like kind of gave me my niche of what I really liked, and then I started to learn more from my mom, and my dad, my brothers, so on and so forth. But what I'm saying, she kind of introduced me to that R&B style. What I'm saying, the Brian McKnight, Tevin Campbell, Jodeci, all that good stuff from like the early '90s and stuff like that. And it just kind of planted a seed in me and began to grow. I always have loved R&B music. That's my number one genre, my go-to. A lot of my friends call me that for a nickname
Yeah.
because like they, I'm listening to R&B right now while we doing this. So just chilling, man, chilling. So that was definitely my number one interest, hobby, because I can sing, and I figured at an early age I wanted to be an entertainer. You know, what I'm saying that was something that I wanted to try to strive for and go for. And,
Okay.
you know,
Okay. So hold
kept my,
up.
kept my mind wandering with the music.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's solid right there. Is music unlocks a lot of things within us that we don't even realize. And when you can resonate with it or with something in it or a form, what's going on, Joe? Um, you it really takes you and unlocks another part of you. Uh,
Yes, it does.
into a sense where it's like, all right, well, I've unlocked this. What am I going to do with it, kind of thing. But before I get branch into that,
Hmm.
I had a couple more other questions from the notes. Growing up, you said you had a lot of siblings, but
Hmm.
you were 4 out of 5 with your mom on your mom's side and 6 out of 7 on your dad's. I assume that you mainly grew up with the siblings within your mother's household.
Facts. Yeah, I get
But
it.
what was it like to grow up with all those siblings?
A headache. For the most part, we got along though, man. My mama always tried to teach us to be there for each other. Work as a unit. We were a unit type household. I started babysitting shit at a young age. Because that's what had to be done. People had to work, and I had to stay and watch the younger, my little sister or my little niece or whatever. I had to watch them, So it was fun though. It was fun growing up. I'd say I probably spent more time, kicking it with my friends outside than my siblings because, for one, my younger sister and my niece, they like 6 and 7 years and 8 years behind me,
Right.
and then my brother that's over me, he's like 6 or 7 years over me, and then it just goes up with my sister and brother over him. So I was kind of alone there for the most part. Just kind of found my own niche, found my own friends to kick it with, so on and so forth. Or I just stayed with myself.
All right, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, that was my next question. The guests be knowing where the interview be going. I be thinking they be just getting a quick glimpse of what I'm throwing up in the screen. Because you did tell me you grew up as a loner. Was that just within your household, or was that even outside? Like, going, you said you kicked it with your friends, but even in a sense, sometimes you can still have friends and be a bit of a loner.
Yeah,
Like, my middle
yeah,
daughter is like that. Like, she got friends, she talks to people, but like sometimes she just want to be by herself, kind of thing.
facts. Facts. Yeah, that's how it was for me. Sometimes I'm still like that to this day as an adult. Like
Yeah,
like I got plenty of friends. I got real close friends that we have good relationships with one another. But man, for the most part, I'm just alone. I like to be alone. I like to spend time to myself. It's nothing like being at peace. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes at you're at your most peace when you're alone. So you get to think alone. Especially as a man. You know what I'm saying? Get to be alone and kind of clear your thoughts, try to clear out all of the fog of the world and, just try to reset and get yourself, going again. So, yeah, I've always kind of been, like alone, like to be alone. I would write my music, uh, to write little scripts to myself for like little movies and stuff that I wanted to create, or little skits and stuff that I wanted to create when I was younger. I used to do all that type of stuff, like, in my alone time. So that's kind of what developed the passion of writing and all of these different types of things within me, like being alone with my roots and, just kind of creating.
yeah. Sometimes you have to decompress. As a man and as a person, like it's important to have that time by yourself and just really just kind of be in your own zone,
Yeah,
not be all around people and things of that nature because it's hard. It's hard, and in this day and age, as men and as adults, we have to we have to take time to really take care of our mental health.
that's,
Very important that we do that. So you said also that it's kind of one kind of goes that you had a close relationship with cousins on your dad's side, but you didn't have much of a relationship with your family. Um, one kind of undercuts the other. So when you say that, what exactly do you mean? Like which side's maybe not the other side of the family, or like how does that play? Because that was well, like I said, they kind of butt heads.
so so you basically trying to figure out like how I ended up being closer with my one cousin on my dad's side oh,
Yeah,
versus the cousins on my mom's side.
yes,
I don't know. So my cousin on my dad's side, she's very much into art as well. She likes to sing. She used to sing, create and stuff. She still does a lot of creative stuff today. So that kind of drew us together from an early age because my dad would, take me on these summer trips when we would go down south and visit his side of the family, and stuff like that. So that grew a bond between myself and my cousin on his side. Her name is Crystal. So we would spend time on the phone, listening to music, going over music, testing each other with music, having all our little playful conversations and stuff as well. But I don't know. I just kind of, we kind of bonded and grew. It's not that I didn't really have a relationship with my cousins on my mom's
Right.
side. It was more I just wasn't around them as much as I was around her.
Okay.
Uh, we did have a relationship in the younger days, but as we got into our teen years, that's where we kind of separated, and then we kind of came back together in our early 20s or whatever. As I found out that they also had a love for the music and the arts and creating and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. So now we're about to get into the music portion of this interview. Um,
Hmm.
but first, you've watched this show. You've been on here before. You know it's time for a round of honest picks.
Hmm.
I kept it strictly R&B, and there's three categories. There's male R&B, there's female R&B, and R&B groups.
Okay. Okay.
So my job is to make sure you're frustrated. Um, that's the job. I had my guest on Thursday ready. Her mama was in the comments saying I was rude because some of the people I was putting together was just not right. So I'm gonna start with Usher or Chris Brown,
Usher.
Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles,
Stevie.
Sam Cooke or Marvin Gaye.
Woo.
He was like, I was like, all right, so far. And he's like, damn.
You
He goes,
dirty. You are a dirty rat for that one. Damn.
now you can say
I
both
think
or neither if you can't decide.
I ain't gonna be no punk. I ain't gonna be no punk.
Oh,
I'm
oh,
gonna go. I'm gonna go with Sam Cooke,
okay.
but it's the reason
Go
behind
ahead.
it. He he just has more art. I'm not gonna say more art that I like, just more art that I've become accustomed to that I know. Not that I don't know any Marvin Gaye because I know some Marvin Gaye, but I just know more of Sam Cooke because I grew up. He was one of my mom's, that was one of her favorite artists back in the day. She used to play a lot of Sam Cooke. So
Okay. Okay. That's respectful. So now it's James Brown or Smokey Robinson,
Smokey,
Otis Redding or Curtis Mayfield,
Otis,
Donny Hathaway or Teddy Pendergrass,
Teddy.
Music Soul Child or Donnell Jones.
Woo.
Now, mind you, these are two of when I do my favorite R&B artists, my personal. Like I have personals, and then I have what I consider the greatest. These two are in my personal top five: Music Soul Child and Donnell Jones.
They definitely two of my personal favorites. Definitely. Um, Freak, man. Oh, that's so hard. Music Soul Child Teach Me is playing right now in my background. Um, I'm gonna go with Music Soul Child
Okay,
for the same reasons that I go with Sam Cooke. I'm just more accustomed to Music Soul Child's art. I know a lot of Donnell Jones, but I'm just more accustomed to music.
okay, okay. I can respect that. Frank Ocean or Chris Brown,
Chris Brown.
Brent Fayez or Bryson Tiller.
Ooh, I think I go with Bryson on that one.
Okay, okay.
That's tougher than what some would think, though.
You said, yeah, no. I mean, listen, if you are a listener, an avid listener of music, and you really listen to it and get the connection between people and their lyrics, It
Yes.
is harder because
Yes.
they are really on that same tier. Because let's not knock it. These new R&B cats are killing it. A lot of them,
Yeah.
and
A
people
lot of
just
them.
like people like
They just
even
don't get the recognition anymore.
well, like even at work, there's this one guy. His name's Matt, and me and him are good friends. We talk hip hop and R&B all day, and he'll just be like, "Yo, R&B isn't like it used to be." I said, "Listen to me. I'm gonna send you a list of 6 artists. Now it ain't gonna be the '90s feel, but
Hmm.
you gonna say this is good music.
Hmm.
You know, these this is good music." And he started listening. He goes, "You're right." I said, "Listen, bro, I ain't never gonna steer you wrong. You know what I'm saying? I
And
listen to anyone
some
once.
some of it some of it will give you that old school '90s 2000s feel. Some of this new stuff it will.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want people to go into it looking for it,
Yeah.
and then they underwhelm, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Yo, she
Yeah.
sucked. What were you talking about?" If I tell them, kind of direct them what to not look for,
Yeah.
then their expectations are probably going to be a little lower, and it's going to go above that, and they're going to be like, "That's great." Versus it's starting
Got
up
you.
here, and then it's down here, and they're like, "Yo, she sucks." So, Janet Jackson or Mariah Carey?
Um, that's a tough one. I gotta go Mariah.
All right, I've been waiting for this one. I hope it's a tough one. Patti LaBelle or Shaka Khan?
Patty.
Sade or Aaliyah?
Aaliyah.
Brandy or Monica?
I wish my cousin was watching. She already know I easily say Monica. I love Brandy, but I just always been a Monica person in that whole little back and
here's
forth with them.
here's my thing. Okay, I think Brandy's first 2 albums, self-titled album and Never Say Never,
Yeah,
untouchable, 2 masterpieces. After that second album, her musically, she started to tank. She started doing more. She did Moesha. She was doing TV, doing more movies, and she just really
so
never was able to get back to that.
you didn't like the Full Moon album? I thought that album was pretty fire.
I'm not saying it was a bad album, but what I'm saying is I understand transitioning with the time, but maybe for me that sound wasn't what I was looking for. Now, personally,
Got you.
I gave it one listen. Now there's albums where I'm like, yo, this album was bad. And then when I went back and listened to it and really like took the time and heard what it was being said, it
Right.
resonated different. Maybe if I go back and listen to it, I remember I said I had one listen. That was when that album came out, 2002,
Yeah,
2003, somewhere in
somewhere
there.
up in there.
It's been 20 years since I've listened to that album. Now, if I go back and listen to it again, I might say, "Oh, okay, maybe I was wrong," because that's happened. But I think for me that Monica's put out better music overall because even a lot of her newer stuff is better. Brandy comes
Yeah,
out with an album. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but Monica, I'm still listening. So I can get that.
I I don't disagree with you there, but for me, I've always liked Monica vocally better than Brandy.
That too.
Just personally, I just always kind of liked her a little more.
I can give
I don't know if it's
you
just
that.
she got that churchy, soulful type. Brandy is out cold. Don't get me twisted, you know what I'm saying? But I just always kind of like Monica a little more.
I can agree with that. Agree with that. Um, so Leo Soul or Kalani?
Kalani.
No, Allegra or her?
Oh, you son of a. Oh.
I got one. Yes, finally. I got one. I got to at least get one, and that's a win.
I'm not picking between them. I'm sorry. I'm not
Yo,
picking between them.
listen, I was
They
listening.
music, they're very similar artists in my opinion too.
Yeah, like listen, I tell you, hers last album, my God, like I was hooked on Damage. But then when the album dropped and I heard it, I was like, this is a fucking masterpiece. This is
Yeah,
amazing. She is amazing. Like I was like, I can't wait for more.
yeah.
Thames or SZA?
SZA. I love SZA. SZA, if you out there listening, I love you.
Ella May or Janae Aiko?
LMA.
All right, now we on to the group sessions. Group section. Temptations or Boys to Men?
Temptation.
New Edition or Tony?
New edition.
SWV or Destiny's Child?
That's tough.
Yeah,
I think
Destiny's
I'll
Child.
go. That's tough. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh no, you good. Destiny's Child's wildly underrated. Like wildly underrated as a group.
I don't understand how they so underrated because they were like, for us, you know what I'm saying? We the same age. Shit, for us, they were the supremes of our generation.
Yo,
So, but
I was singing Survivor, Bills, Soldier, gosh, whatever you name it, I was singing it.
I'm gonna go with SWV on that one though because I think I related. I can relate to their music a little more than what I can relate to Destiny's Child music.
Okay,
I would say
okay. The Gap Band or the Spinners?
Spinners.
Mint Condition or the OJs?
That's a little. Uh,
Two different
that's
sides of the spectrum.
yeah. I'm gonna say that's two F errors there, but
But
I'm I'm a OJ's guy though. I
okay.
fuck with the OJs. I listen to a lot of OJs.
Next or Shy?
Shy.
High Five or Guy?
High five. My
Cool and
group there.
Cool in the Gang or the Isleys?
The Isleys. Another one of my group.
SWV or Escape?
Escape.
Final three. 112 or Jagged Edge?
Jagged Edge.
And now the two that everybody hates. Whitney Houston or Aretha Franklin?
Whitney.
You know what the last one is, right?
Michael.
Michael Jackson or Prince?
Michael.
Yo, everyone hates it even though they know it's coming. That's always the last one.
I don't hate that one. That's an easy pick for me.
For me
Easy
too,
pick.
but you know what? If someone wants to pick Prince, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I love and respect some Prince. It's just an easy pick for me.
Absolutely. So, hope you enjoyed that. That's always a fun game. All the guests
Yeah, it is, man.
enjoy it.
Definitely enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. So back to the interview. So you found out you enjoyed singing at a young age or when in your younger years. When did you find your talent as a singer? Like, when did you just notice like you had a voice and that you was like, yo, I can sing.
Hmm. I'll probably say around maybe around about let's see, maybe about four, around about four,
Okay.
probably about 4 years old. Started just kind of singing along, hearing songs, learning them, the words and stuff, and eventually kind of started as I got older, started realizing like okay, like I sound good, and my family knew I could sing. Listening to them Tevin Campbell records and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'll say somewhere right about 4 years old.
Okay. And you said to me you felt like maybe not at that time, but as you got older, you felt like you could be a success. Um, when did made you feel that you could be successful in the music industry? Because it's a tough industry. I had a guy on here a couple weeks ago, Glitzy, and he raps, he makes music, he models, he acts. He's been in Power, he's been in The Shy, and he's 21 years old, really laid back, really humble young man. Got a lot of respect for him and what he's doing. And I had asked him kind of like if he had to pick a path, right? Meaning the acting path or the music path. He was like, I can't do both. I said, you could. But I said, what if one were to take off more than the other? Which one would you choose? He said, the acting, just because of the music industry. So it's kind of
Right.
like we know what the music industry brings. We know that artists aren't paid the same. But obviously, that wasn't your thought process then. But at that time, what made you know you could go out there and you can sell them records, sell out them concerts, and make some real money?
Uh, it's gonna sound odd, but what made me feel at a young age that I could be a success was the fact that I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself, and I didn't deem myself as one of the attractive guys in school, but I could gain attention when I would sing,
Okay.
and that kind of it just kind of made me. I'm like, man, like it might be something here. This might be the niche. You know what I'm saying? This might be the niche. So that it just kind of I probably say that's probably the beginning of me having the confidence that I could, like, hey, I could do this. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you also said some of your inspirations there was the Jackson Five, Jodeci, the Temptations, Boys the Men, Drew Hill, Cisco, Usher, and R. Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Some greats right there, for sure. A lot of people. R. Kelly's my all-time favorite. Like I just want to say, so I don't get canceled. I'll never condone
Man,
what people say he
you don't
did.
you don't have to say nothing. You don't
No,
have to say nothing.
I ain't ever gonna condone that. But what I will condone is that music. There's no one who can convince me there's anyone who's ever picked up a microphone on the R&B side who is better than R. Kelly. I'm sure
No,
there.
are we talking just artistry R&B, or are we talking vocals here?
Oh, I'm just saying for me personally. Like if we were
Okay.
to go
Okay.
down that path, okay, you going you there are, you could pick someone else. But me, I'm basing that off my personal opinion. Now, I'm just saying that for me, artistry, because R. Kelly, there are better vocalists than R. Kelly. But
Yeah.
artistry,
Yeah.
artistry, I mean,
Yeah.
we you just can't. There's not many.
Not that he was a bad vocalist, though. He's
No,
definitely. Look,
no,
he's in my top three, so so I might
but
not have him number one, but he in the
but
top three.
vocally, there are better artists than R. Kelly. I can
Yeah, there are. There
say
are.
that. So now we get to some of the tough portions of this interview. And we're going to start with you said that you got into trouble in school and you ended up dropping out of school. I have
Hmm.
to ask, what trouble was that caused you to drop out of high school?
Uh, just wildness. You know what I'm saying? Wildness, um, ignorance, stuff that I wouldn't, talk about on airwaves, illegal, stuff getting, and then just being a young dumb teenager. You know, a combination of a multitude of things. I would say
So, at what age was it that you? What was the last grade? What grade were you in when you dropped out?
12th grade.
Oh, so you was already there. You just had to finish out that year.
I had to do I would have had to do a fifth year senior course where I
Okay.
could have graduated. So if I'd have went back for a fifth year, I could have graduated in that by that January.
right, right. Because you just had to do those courses, whatever courses you missed to finish up. And I assume at that time, because you were, in a sense, a wild boy, maybe. I don't know if that's the right choice of words, or you were in a wild state of mind that you didn't want to see it for what it was. And what I mean when I say that is it's like listening to where we've gotten so far with the stories. Your mother was a single mother. You had, doesn't sound like your dad was really around. Your mom had a lot of, you were 4 out of 5, so it's a lot of kids in the house, you know, working a lot, I'm sure, to provide for all of you. Um,
Facts.
so it's hard to keep a track on everyone.
Mm.
You kind of had freedom in a sense because you knew your mom might have been working late, or if she wasn't working and she got home, she was gonna be too tired to not so much.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go so far as to say I had freedom. My mama was strict. I wasn't
Okay.
able to leave off of my block until I was like 15, 16 years old almost.
Oh wow.
When it was kids that was doing that shit, we was 10, 11 kids to be traveling throughout the neighborhood, leaving their block, going to other blocks to play with their friends and stuff. I couldn't do that. I had to remain on my block.
Or else that was your ass.
That was your ass.
Oh, so you didn't really have the freedom. So okay, so in a sense, then maybe the lack of freedom is what caused that reaction. Because
Some of it.
when a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, I'd say maybe from people I know personally, 60% of the people I've spoken to who've had this problem growing up or with their kids or what have you, it's because they're too closed in. Like
Mm,
you can't give your kids free range, but you can't keep them imprisoned either. Because once they get to an age where they're kind of flirting with adulthood, that's when they go buck wild. Or if you give them that opportunity, that's when they go buck wild.
mm,
So that kind of happens. But all in all, like you said, it was a humbling experience growing up there. So even still, mom's was strict, but she still kept you in line. I don't know why those fireworks are going off behind me. Now that I looked away and looked back over, and fireworks happen. When we were doing the sports show, balloons be coming up, weird things be happening. Weird things. Like I'm like, all right, whatever. So then you said after that you went back and you went to get your GED. So how long after you dropped out did you go to get the GED? And what happened that caused you to decide that you needed the GED, or as they say, high school equivalent, to move forward in your life?
mm. I was 21. Um, I decided it. I decided to do it just because I felt like it was the right thing to do. Because I felt like I needed to have it because that's what I would hear from so many people. Like, you gotta have this, you gotta have it. Not even jobs, just people. You know what I'm saying? I was able to obtain jobs and all types of stuff. But um, it's just I just, figured I needed to have it, and I think that was one of the better decisions I ever made was to go to this program called Goodwill Industries.
Okay.
It was a job preparation program. I actually met some good friends there. One brother is still a good friend to this day. You know what I'm saying? A brother to me. We gained a relationship, so I think that was one of the better decisions I ever made doing that.
Absolutely.
And it kind of helped shape me to get on a steadier path. I didn't get steady just, like that right there off of that, but I'd say it was a starting point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's just the basis for anyone to have that, honestly. Graduating high school for me was one of the biggest accomplishments. And so when I growing up, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you got a GED? That's funny," But I think, in a sense, I would think it's a little harder to get a GED because it's hard to graduate high school, right? We understand that. Just it's taxing for a person to do that, but once you do it, it's done. But when you get a GED, especially if there's been a gap longer than like a year or a year and a half, talking 3 years for you, 4 years, and there's some people who never ever got that, right?
Mm.
So so I think it's still a testament, a huge accomplishment, and it shows your growth as an individual.
Mm.
Because it's like, okay, when I dropped out, my mind was here, but now I've elevated and I'm here because I want to go here. So that's a credit, and I don't know if anyone's ever tried to laugh at you or tell you like you're less of a person for that, but I give you a lot of credit for that to go back and to accomplish that because I'm sure it was not easy.
No, I wasn't. But no, I ain't never had nobody ever try to, what I'm saying, be
You know
on
how
my bullshit
people
about it. Because if they do, I kill them. So no, I'm just playing. No, I'm serious.
kill, kill them and then serenade them with a song or with a ritual.
Hmm.
So got some. So right here it says, I got here. Your family moved. You had some close friends that you were able to start a music group with called
Hmm.
Remedy.
Hmm.
Leather J, J Wrist, Johnny, and yourself.
Hmm.
Started this group with C Shark Records, and you had a contract.
Hmm.
So tell me the basis of this group. Was it a R&B group? Was it like a collab group, meaning there was a couple rappers, a couple singers? So what was the basis of the group, and where did you meet these friends? Grew up together, and all that.
So I'll make it quick. Remedy came together. They consisted of myself, Jay Notes, Jay Riff, who were brothers, and their friend Lover J. I met Jay Notes in 2006, I believe. Yes, 2006. Me and Jay Notes met. We ended up living in the same neighborhood on the same block. He lived down the street from me. Now we met, playing basketball. Like I had a goal, I pulled a goal out. We'd get out there and hoop, and we kind of got to know each other from me working at the restaurant up the street, him coming up there getting something to eat, coming to hoop with us, and
Yeah.
we kind of forged the relationship from there. About a year, I'll say about a year almost and a half into knowing Jay Notes, he had twin sons, and one of his twin sons had passed away. Now by then, we all, know, like, oh, you can sing, yeah, I can sing, but, it was more so like Jay Notes came from a musical family. Like, it was seven brothers, and, like, every single one of them could sing. Like, they were very talented gentlemen or whatever. And, and getting to know him, his son had passed away. And then about a month later, and this was all in 2007, my daughter passed away at 6 months. And so that kind of brought us closer together, as friends, to be there for one another. And shit, one thing led to another. We got to kicking it, and his brother Jay Riff, who is around the same age as myself, we started singing together, just playing around,
Right.
and we just came up with the idea, like, man, you know what, we should start a group. And Notes and Riff had already had a group in high school. It was called Remedy. And so, they was like, what if we brought Remedy back and, tried to do it as like a trio. And, at first, and then they said, well, let's bring Lover J in. And that's where, he went to high school with them too. He was a part of the original. And, that's where Remedy was formed. They reached out to Lover J. He was with the idea. Next thing you know, we were getting together, going over to, who's ever home. And, we were rehearsing. writing, going over dance steps. One of the members was married to a gentleman who owned a label out of Ohio called C Sharp Records. Her father, anyway, and
Right.
you know, we kicked it with him to kick it with her. Got an audition, and we thought the sky was gonna be the limit. And it didn't go that way.
So you said that there were issues within the group.
Hmm.
Obviously, his son passing is a tough thing to deal with. Um, but what were some of the issues? Was it like creative issues? Because sometimes, when you're in groups and things, and the bigger the group, the bigger the personalities, the bigger the egos, and there's always, usually there's one guy that ain't feeling something. So, what were some of those underlying issues that caused the tension for the group?
I would really have to say it was more of a creative issue type thing. One of the members, notes and Riff, as I said, they both came from a very musically inclined family. They had one of those type. They just had the, how you, in each neighborhood back in the day in the hood, you had those families. Like, damn, all of them can sing,
Yeah,
or all of them can play basketball. They were that family from the east side of Detroit. All of them could sing. Father was a pastor. They sung in the church. That was them. So with them having that type of background, the type of music that we chose to sing as Remedy, which we were trying to create, I'm crazy with my pen. So I do a lot of writing. Even still to this day, even, I don't even go to the studio, but I still write. You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's just like a therapeutic thing for me, I guess. But
Absolutely.
I would write a lot of raunchy type lyrics, because we talking like around 2009, somewhere like oh 08, oh 09 right here. So we're in an era of R&B where things are starting to take a turn, a shift,
Right.
like, so I'm trying to write a lot of that stuff, and Riff just wasn't with it. You know what I'm saying? He had kind of started having realizations of wanting to get back in touch with his more church and spiritual side of things, and he just wasn't really feeling singing secular R&B anymore, and he decided to, he hit us with an ultimatum that, I feel like we should switch and sing more of a gospel neo soul type of thing, or I'm gonna just go solo and do this on my own. And we, including his brother, myself, and Jay Lover,
Right.
we just weren't with that. So it just kind of,
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah,
fully creative then because his vision changed from y'all's original vision.
exactly.
To each its own, he may have had a revelation or something might have happened, or maybe that's ultimately just what he wanted to do. But we understand that those things happen, and it's unfortunate that that had to happen.
Right.
So is that why you kind of lost like dedication? Was like something like that when you're working and you're trying to do things and then it changes like that. Is that did that kind of deflate your spirit? And did life just
Um,
start taking over on you, kind of like to the point where it's like, all right, I ain't got the time to do this.
um, at that point in time, I'm not really. I wouldn't say so, not at all, to be honest with you. Not at that point in time. More so at that point in time, it was kind of a relief because I'll be honest, I was kind of creatively frustrated with them. I was just fed up. I'm
Right,
like, man, like nobody wants to sing. I don't have as you just heard me say, I love music, soul child. I don't have a problem singing neo soul, but that's not going to be the base. That's not a base for
right,
me. It's something that I branch out and touch, but it's not a base. So, and we all kind of were set on what our base was, and when he decided to part ways, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air because I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna try to do my own thing. Now, in the midst of that, it more so turned into a duo with me and Jay Notes before I went on to try to do this R&B thing by myself.
right.
And that's where things really started to take a turn. The lack of motivation and stuff like that kicked in because there was no support. It just wasn't. You know how it can be when you're trying to
Of
do
course.
something and you just don't have the support that you need and want, and people really trying to back you like that, and you just kind of get deflated and just be like, fuck it, and go back into your wall, go back into hibernation, and that's kind of how it looked to me.
Yeah, and it's kind of just like, okay, well, why do this? Let's go in.
Yeah. I always knew I had the talent, man. Everywhere I go, like even when I was locked up, which I think I told you, when I was locked up, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to sing to dudes, girls on visits for food, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like hey, it's that's how that world. It's a different world, you know.
Well, we're gonna get into that uh, right now, but before we get to that portion, talk to me, if you don't mind, a little bit about your daughter passing away. I'm sorry that happened. Um, no parent should have to lose a child ever, for any reason, in my opinion. But what happened? Was she sick? Was there an accident? Um,
Uh, it was an accident. She died from a thing called SIDS, which is sudden infant death
uh,
syndrome.
yeah.
Uh, she just kind of like choked on her milk, couldn't breathe, and just couldn't get into the hospital in time, type of thing. Yeah, that's how that went.
So
Yeah.
how did that affect you, in all shapes and forms? Because that's not something, I don't care what anyone says. That's not something you ever get over. Like, fully. Like, you just don't. Like, I still get upset over my grandmother. She died when I was 7. I'm 36 now. We're talking 30 years ago, and it still irks me. I don't like Halloween anymore due to that. So, because that's when she passed away. So, like, how did that affect you? And how did you move forward through that?
Uh, I would say, bro, it kind of was the beginning of a hard sell for me. Um, and it's something that I'm still working on to this day. When my daughter passed, I felt like I was, for one, I was only 19 when this happened,
Right.
and I was, fighting the case, for some dumb shit that I had did. At the same time, I was out on bond when she passed, so all of this, going on while I'm out on bond, waiting to start these court proceedings and stuff like this, and I was 19, and it kind of made me feel like I had to be something that I couldn't be at that time, which was I got to be tough. I got to be hard. I got to, be strong for my baby mama, and I got to be strong for others. And what I'm saying, I never really felt like I could break down, and feel the sorrow that comes with something like that until it was like late at night and I was alone,
Right.
and I was by myself and stuff like that. So it kind of taught me something, that like I said, that's probably not the best thing is to, just have that guard up and always wear that shield, try to be tough and stand tall. But that's not saying that it's anything wrong with thinking like that, but it's a time and a place for it. You
Absolutely.
can't be like that 24/7. And I think going through that like that made me kind of turn into that type of person 24/7. And it affected me in that way. Uh, you know, Sorry, because I remember at times people actually questioning if I cared because they felt like we didn't see you cry nothing, like do you even care? What I'm saying? It
What?
was like y'all don't know what it's like when I'm at home alone, or again, me and Jay Notes how we got so tight. It was a
Right.
lot of them late nights where I'd be alone and I couldn't sleep, and I'm going through it and crying and stuff, and I call down the street like, "What you up to, bro?" And he'd be like, "Man, come on down." They'd be up. I'm talking 1, 2 in the morning. Come on down the street, bro.
Yeah.
And I roll me a blunt, go down the street, chill. So like those that brother and his family, they were there for me at that
It,
time. But
it's
yeah.
also easier when you have someone that had went through that. You know, because like even like me, I'm really good at talking to people and really giving them good advice and really just having them think in different perspectives. But a prime example is I had a friend of mine. His name was Nick. His father died. And he calls me. Like we were real close at the time. He's crying, just losing his mind. He's cursing. He's swearing. His wife was pregnant. Like he had all these emotions going through him. So I had to try to help him compartmentalize them. Right? We did that, and then we talked about each problem. But then when he's like, "How am I going to cope without my dad?" I said, "Okay, listen. My father is still here. I haven't lost my father. I said, I can't really explain to you or talk you through this. I said, you
Hmm.
got to talk. We had another close friend. I'm still close with that friend now. I said, listen, you should call Clinton. I said, Clinton lost his dad like 8 years ago to cancer. Like, he would be a better fit to talk to you about this. Want me to be on the phone? I will. If you just wanted to be you and him and keep it between y'all, that's cool too. But I said, this, this is who you need to talk to. Because sometimes, like, yeah, people can be there for you, but just like those people were saying, do you care? Those people couldn't resonate with you. Sometimes when you're upset, you feel numb. Like you can't cry, you can't laugh, you have no emotion whatsoever. You're just there. You're just existing. So,
Hmm.
that's a traumatizing experience, no matter how things happen. And some people don't understand that. Their first thought is to say something, and instead of thinking about what they're saying, like, hey man,
Hmm.
instead of being like, yo man, you all right? Like, you good? It's like, do you even care? Like, yo, that's mad rude and out of the way. Like, so that's just one perspective.
Right.
But you
Right.
mentioned during all this time that you were about to fight a case. So I don't know if you're allowed to say it, but I gotta ask, what was the what did you do, bro? What did you do?
Let's just say I was being a hot boy.
You being a hot boy?
I was being a hot boy.
Did you ultimately get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time?
No, no, I didn't get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. I knew the place I was at, and I knew the time, and I had to eventually, face that and do my time. Yeah, I was out here, on some, other shit. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I was out here on some other shit. I was doing some wild shit, and that shit caught up with me real quick.
All right, all right. So you said you were out on bond. So obviously you ain't killing nobody. So
Nah, yeah, I ain't doing no
you
shit.
know it ain't letting you out if you.
Now mean I won't. Now mean I won't. No, I'm just playing.
But you were out on bond. Obviously, they decided you was gonna go inside. How long were you locked up for?
So initially, I was supposed to do. I think it was supposed to be 2 years, and then a lifetime probation, and I ended up doing. I think it was like 8 months, and then they let me out on house arrest. Well, really, yeah, tether house arrest. So when I completed the tether house arrest, I got into some more trouble, and then I ended up going back for 3 months. Then I got let out into a halfway house.
Okay.
I spent 90 days in the halfway house, and then after that, that was pretty much the end of my run of getting into deep trouble with the law. Uh, until I, got off my probation. When I got off probation, actually, it was crazy. The guy that I was, doing stuff with, he basically went on the run. And because
Oh
he went
wow.
on the run, that made me liable for his restitution and probation. And I had to come up with a lump sum of money in order to get released off of probation, or I was going to get sent to prison.
Woo. So obviously during that time you didn't have a job, or did you have?
I at that particular time to get thank God I was working, but I had missed work because I got locked up, so I had to go to court. I remember my brother came to court, talked to the judge, and he was like, "I'm gonna give you." I don't even remember. I want to say it might have been like 90 days that he gave me to come up with the money and pay it to the courts and be able to get my release from probation. Or if I didn't do it, then he was sending me upstate.
Wow. Wow. So how did being locked up and how did all those experiences change your life, and what did you do differently moving forward?
Um, it definitely gave me more of a it gave me more of a hindsight to be able to see people for who they are
Yeah.
and to not trust too many. It also kept me grounded and kept me, with the right type of thinking process that I should want to be around my loved ones. I should want to be around my family. You know what I'm saying? We should want to be free. We should want to be, out here to love women and love our children. All of everything that comes with being, let me quote unquote free, what I'm saying, which basically means being out of the jail prison world versus just being in this type of free world or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It make you appreciate, all of those small things. Uh, Going to bed when you want to go to bed, not being told what to do 24/7, eating when you want to eat, you know what I'm saying, showering when you want to shower. All of these different types of things being stripped away, that shit will definitely, well, I'm not going to say it will, but it should, because it don't do it for everybody, but it should definitely, you know, give your mind a good reset, like a good shaking, and be like, oh shit, I'm fucking up. Let me get my shit together. So it was really after my being locked up, stint and all that stuff. That's really where the whole remedy phase came in. You know what I'm saying? The music and stuff like that. And what came back into play. That's where that came back into play at. But
Right.
um, after the music and stuff like that, that's where the whole phase came where it was like time to get off of probation. I had been on probation all of these years. And
Right.
and in order for me to get off, it was like, okay, I gotta do this. So boom, did that. And I was working. I kind of got into the kitchen field. I started cooking, at more upscale restaurants and stuff like that. And I gained a niche for cooking. And shit, I just took that shit and ran with it, man. I was like, I'm gonna learn this craft, and I'm gonna try to, build myself a life from, working in these restaurants. And I hadn't really gave up on the music dream at that particular time. I would still go to the studio and everything, you know what I'm saying? But it just didn't have the same passion. It went from consistently trying to go to the studio to, you know, area of the month, like, going to the studio or whatever. So,
Whenever make
but
it, make it when you can
yeah,
make it, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, type of, that's exactly how it was. But, like I say that, but it going through all of that definitely shaped me to be more grounded and humble and appreciate smaller things in life and to, figure out a career path or try to get into something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just get into something to keep money in your pocket legally and stay out the fucking streets and stay from behind bars and, try to, you know, take care of family. So
Exactly.
that's what it did for me.
Wow. Well, and now you're here. Now you're in a much better place than you were during that time. You know, and it gave you the course correction, if you will.
Hmm.
So you said so. Then after that, at that moment, moment you hadn't given up. You knew that you wanted to still do it, but you said that you had some cousins that was throwing some bars around on your mom's side, and that kind of gave you an itch, you know, kind of to just really take it again. So, what was, you know, in a sense, what did them doing that musically do for your niche? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how was it like, I gotta get back. If they doing this, I gotta try and get back into this. And, you know, you guys formed a group from this too, right?
Yeah. They already had a group for him. It was called LOM Fam,
Yeah.
Loyalty Over Money Family, and you know, they were already kind of going to the studio, dropping bars, doing little stuff, and we kind of started, you know, brushing paths, you know, brushing shoulders with one another again, you know, and from, I guess you could say, getting together, having little sessions, smoking, and I hear some of their stuff, and you know what I'm saying. They'd be like, you used to sing, don't you, cuz? Like, don't you put a hook together? And some, you know, it kind of started with us sitting together, listening to beats and stuff. And you know, you can put on the beat and I listen to it, and you know, my head get the vibing and I get the rocking and stuff, and I just started to create in my head. And I started to create and I figure out what sounds good to me in my head, and that's what I started to put to paper, you know, to the beat or whatever. And, you know, I would do hooks for them, and you know what I'm saying, I started getting that recognition again because, you know, like when I was locked up, you know what I'm saying, I'd be in there writing and stuff like that. Like when I get out, I'm gonna go to the studio. And you know, when you locked up, you know, people ain't got nothing to do. So, you know, what do you do when time passes and you get to know people? And we in there, you know, I'm meeting dudes who can rap, you know what I'm saying? It started there. These dudes can rap and they would want me to put hooks to their songs, and all we would talk about was, man, when we get out, you know, let's go to the studio together and shit like that. So I would be locked up writing hooks to songs, or writing, you know, verses to go with other dudes' verses and stuff. And then I get out and it's like, okay, my cousin's spitting and these boys dope. And they got these fire beats and I'm listening to them, and hooks just started, you know, coming. You know what I'm saying? Like I write a hook and they'd be like, man, oh man, you know what I'm saying, that shit cold, and you know what I'm saying, like that type of shit, you know, just making me feel like or that same feeling all over again, like damn, I can still do this shit. I can do this shit if I really want to do this shit. You know, even friends will hear certain shit, be like, yeah, that hook money than a motherfucker, you know, shit like that. So, you know what I'm saying? It gave me that confidence again.
So you was back into the flow, and then of course tragedy hit again, and one of the MCs was murdered
Yeah.
by his
Yeah.
girlfriend. That's horrible. How did that change the perplexity of this group, and what did it do to you personally?
Uh, it changed the perplexity, you know, like very drastically, because it knocked a lot of motivation out of all of us, especially my cousins, because they were all, you know, they all grew up together. They were very close knit. So you know, when when that happened, you know, it was kind of like niggas ain't really want to do it no more. And then after a while, it created another drive because I started coming up with hooks to honor our cousin. And I
Yeah,
would let them hear these hooks and they like, damn, this shit dope. We should start going to lay some of this shit down. And it just kind of never really developed past talking. So, and, you know, after he got killed, man, it just kind of, I guess you could say, killed the vibe in all of us. But, you know, one of one of my cousins, you know, he's still out here doing his thing. He just dropped the EP some months back. You know, that we did the show, you know, and you checked it out or whatever. But you know, he's
yeah.
still doing his thing. He dope. He got some fire shit. But you know, I think something awoke in him, and I'm glad it did. And he still be reaching out here and there trying to awaken that beast in me again. That shit, we never get past talking. So, which is
Right.
always a cardinal thing. And with us as black people, we never get past talking a lot of the time.
Well, you said that with the loss of him, your dedication wasn't the same. Um, that could be traumatizing.
Yeah,
Because like you said, they were close. You were close to him, and you guys were garnering a close relationship based on this music.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and to now have that lost and ripped away from you is hard.
Facts.
It's hard. It's not easy for that to happen. So like now you're in a sense where it seemed like for you, it seemed like every time you tried to get on a high with the music, there was something that was like a roadblock, something that tried to deviate you away from that. And it's really, it's really a shame because, in a sense, it's like, man, like, it's just like something goes wrong every time.
Right.
And sometimes you don't have the strength to navigate through these things,
Right.
right? Because it's not always easy. It's not always easy to navigate through these things.
It's not.
You because I have a couple side notes here through our conversation, yeah, where you were mentioning sex addiction, drug addiction, heartbreak. A lot of those things come from things that we've gone through. You know, because like sex addiction, people think it ain't real. It is because you're utilizing your body physically to just let go of whatever is really bothering you, even if it's for a half hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long your body desires for you to do it. Right? An hour, all night. You're not thinking about what's on your mind. Drug addiction.
Right.
You feel it. You feel whatever. You feel like a high. It's just for that moment while you're there on cloud nine or whatever you're doing, you're just at peace. Nothing matters at that moment.
Nothing matters.
You know? And then, a lot of that comes from heartbreak. And I think, these things are important, which is why at this time when you went through this, people weren't talking about like mental health and things like that. Like to me, mental health just became a thing that was taken seriously, like 3-4 years ago. Honestly,
Yeah.
maybe even
Yeah.
less time than that.
Possibly.
And
Yeah.
and we gotta take it for what it is. We're here every day. We got to do what we have to do to be great. And sometimes it's finding ways to navigate through those things. And I think for you, you kind of did that because you just mentioned that you kind of gave up at that point. But then you mentioned that you you dream differently now. What does it mean? What do you mean when you say that you dream differently?
Um, my dreams took a pivot. I stopped believing in something else as a dream to start believing in something else as a dream.
But do you still sing currently?
For fun, family events, karaoke nights, stuff like that. At the
You know,
request of a lady friend.
but let's be honest. Don't you ever think you should put out music? Don't you ever think you should at least put one project together? Even if it's not for people, even if it's just for yourself. Just to, you know what I'm saying? Just to put it out there. You never know what can happen. put it out as an independent artist, get the rights to your music. All it takes is one listen. You never know who could be listening. You know,
Right.
I could have 11 views on an interview, and one of those views could be Charlemagne the God. Not my
Right.
first choice of people, but he's very. But be that as it may, he's very respected in the industry I'm doing, in the
Yeah.
media industry. He's very respected. There. Even another one, Joe Budden. Once again, not really my cup of tea because I think he's a little bit out there, but his show is pretty good, very respected
Right.
among it.
Right.
So all I'm saying is just even if it's for yourself and you put out even if it's 7 to 10 songs and you just put
Hmm.
it out there for you just to see what happens. It's always worth an opportunity to invest in yourself. Always.
Right. Right.
It's something you should consider, I think, maybe one day down the road. I mean, if you writing and you writing and you writing, like, it's just like, damn, I got like 200 songs here on paper. Why not?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, you're
know?
right about that, man. Look, yeah, I still think about that type of stuff all the time, man. Like just like to be dope to put together one nice ass little mixtape and or sing some covers, some of the my favorite covers that I've always wanted to record and sing, and so yeah, I do still think about those things, man. I definitely do. Just life be life, bro, and it just kind of has a way of
Absolutely.
kind of yeah.
But let's and that brings me to the next topic is you have a son.
Mm-hmm.
You have full custody of him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that takes a lot of time from you and from what you have to do. But how important is it to you to give him the life that he needs to be successful?
100% important. It's the number two thing in my life besides making sure that I need to have the right relationship with the Most High. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's 100% the most important thing outside of that is I want him to be successful and have the type of life that I didn't have. I want him to be able to go through life. I know he's not gonna have a perfect life. No one is, but I have to try my hardest to put my best foot forward in order to make sure that he has as easy as a life as I can make it for him.
Right. And you talked about that he likes to play basketball.
Hmm.
Is he you coaching him or is he just playing just for fun?
He 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 takes it serious a little bit there. He says he wants to go to the NBA, but I'm kind of a look. You see it, man. That's the type of mentality I have. So if you say you want to be great, you say you want to do something, you have to show me that you want to do it. And so that's how I am with my son. I'm a show me type of pop. Like you show me, but I do. You know what I'm saying? He's played AAU. I invest. I pay for him to play AAU. He plays middle school. He played middle school. He plays high school. You know what I'm saying? So and I try to take some time up with him. Don't miss a game. Try to get him worked out with different people. Coach stuff and stuff like that. Definitely trying to invest in his game and trying to help him get to where he wants to be.
And
It's not easy, but
well, one note that I looked over because I kind of wanted to combine it with this is, you brought up the Kobe Bryant mentality, and for anyone that's dream is to go to the NBA, that's whose mentality you need. Kobe Bryant was a special soul. even in more ways than one. Like I
Oh
got a
yeah.
poster hanging up on my wall. It's him. He's laying up the basketball. Basketball is in his right hand, and it says, "The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win." And he just really was a special person in terms of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to really sometimes. There's not many people who are like that have that mindset. Like even still, like they asked him one time what he would play in his headphones. He would play Michael Myers like Halloween. You're like, oh, that's creepy. But like Michael Myers was a killer. That that was his mentality to kill in the game, right? So it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. But that's some of the stuff that you can show him to
Yeah.
apply, right? Or even like you look
Mm-hmm.
up the interview with Jay Williams. They're playing Kobe, and then he goes in the gym. Kobe's working out. Jay Williams works out for an hour or whatever, and then he said he was done and he just was watching Kobe. And then he was like, he worked out for like another 45 minutes. And then he goes, then he busted our ass that night. He had like 36 or whatever. So I said, Cole, why do you train that hard? He goes, because I seen you come in. He was like, I was letting you know that you're not going to outwork me. You're not going to work harder than me. And like he was doing game like moves. So, that precision and that mentality is really what is a forefront. And that's something that maybe some of the things you should show him to be like, yo, you do some of these things, you got a real good chance at getting to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. He definitely know. He know I'm a Kobe guy. He man. I just sent him a Kobe video the other morning. So like he definitely yeah. He knows. He knows the mentality that I've tried to tell him that you have to have in order to be great or in order to just make it. Because that's really the first step is making it. Then you have to try to be great once you know what I'm saying, once you make it. Because you're not gonna be great off the bill. You know what I'm saying? You can be good, but you're not gonna be great. You
So
know what I'm saying? So
listen, every once in a while, people become great right away. The first person that comes to mind is Mr. Mahomes. Um,
he sat for a year though.
huh?
He
Well, yeah,
sat
but
for a year.
what I mean is our first glimpse of him, he was great. He was doing things we never seen. One year, like look at Jordan Love, how many years he sat, right? And now look at how long Mahomes sat. There's a Jordan Love is say I would say right now he's good, right? Because we haven't seen him do it again. We haven't seen him
Yeah,
replicate
he's
that.
good. Yeah,
But
I
Mahomes
agree.
Mahomes came in and has been steady and has been to the AFC Championship every year. He since becoming a starter and sitting one year. And it's not like he sat behind an Aaron Rodgers or a Ben Roethlisberger or, like a great quarterback. He sat behind Alex Smith. To me, not saying he couldn't learn anything from him, but his style is not finesse enough, right?
Yeah.
He came in and he was like, okay, he found a way to be great and win a Super Bowl in his third season, second year as a starter. But then you look at other players, you look at a player like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has greatness written all over him, right? But people don't ever want to talk about those years where he wasn't winning, like Magic, Bird. People forget everything before 90, 91. You know what I'm saying?
So, oh, you talking about the years where he had a team full of cigarette smoking dope heads and an old ass George Gervin?
Pretty much.
Those teams
Pretty much.
that he was still taking to the first round of the playoffs,
Listen,
carrying.
I'm not saying he wasn't great, but what I am saying is that in the '90s, we seen the greatness. We seen him do phenomenal things through the '80s. Well, not me or you specifically. We
Yeah,
can only see highlights. I
yeah.
remember, I remember the second run in the '90s.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember that, and that
definitely.
was
Me too.
that was
Shit, I
greatness.
remember I remember pieces of the first run.
Yeah, that's what I call greatness. And in my opinion, if Scottie Pippen didn't have a headache in 1990, and if he didn't leave 2 years, we're talking about a guy that could have won 9 straight. Possibly. We'll never know. But the other thing that helped him was the exit. Because you think about it, he left, and people are like, well, they still did this when he was gone. But I'm like, the man came back and three-peated again after taking 2 seasons off. So that's the difference maker in a sense. Is like, yeah, I'm not saying he wasn't great in the '80s, but I think he was closer to good than he was to great. Because once he got
Yeah,
to the '90s, he knew what to do. He knew he had what he needed to win, and then he achieved greatness.
yeah.
And some people become great over time. That's just kind of how
The,
it was, because a lot of people don't even want to give Kobe credit for the ones with Shaq, the
that's
ones they won with
idiotic.
2000, 2001, 2002. People don't want to even give Kobe credit for that. But let's
That's
be honest.
idiotic.
Now let's call a spade because Shaq during them 3 years, especially that year, he was averaging 36 points, like 13 boards. I forget if it was '01 or 2000, but that man was a monster. He was a beast. But to not give Kobe Bryant any credit is asinine. Asinine. So that's the only thing is for me is when we're measuring these things in people, or we see our kids aspire to do great things. I show them that kind of stuff. Like my oldest, Brenda,
Me
she
too.
wants she wants to be. She really likes gymnastics. Now, mind you, she hasn't done it growing up. Like that's one of those things you start when you're like 5, and then as you grow. But I mean, she's pretty good for not having any training, no classes, nothing. She's like really got the concept. But she likes Simone Biles, so she's watching her and then saying, I want to be the next one. I said, no, you want to be the first you. If you want to
Hmm.
structure what you do after her, I got no problem with that. But you want to be the first you.
That's
So
it. That's it.
we're almost there. But
At the end of the day, it's just all about putting the work in.
yes, absolutely. So you said you dream differently now. What does that envision entail now?
Uh, a melting pot of things, a ball of confusion. I want to be right now. I want to be the next Dave Chappelle slash podcaster slash karaoke singer slash skit writing comedian. I'm all over the place, but that's what social media is, though. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to be tied to one thing. You can do a little singing here and there, which I've been saying that I'm gonna work on. Start doing some singing videos and dropping them and stuff like that. Or you can do some skits and try to be like Dylan Brooks and Jack Funny 313 and them. You know what I'm saying? Doing the skits and stuff like that comedy skits and stuff like that. Or you can
Absolutely.
just have real conversations like we do on, different podcasts and stuff like that. Talk about real life subjects and trauma issues and mental health and, so on and so forth, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. You talk about all that type of stuff on these different podcasts. So that's just kind of how I dream now to be able to touch into all of those fields. I want to I tell my friends all the time, I be like, man, I know I could be the next Dave Chappelle. I know I could. Because it's like the type of shit that's going on in this world. I, I would love to I would love for somebody to do what they did for Key and Peele, unfunny asses. I'm sorry, that show was terrible to me. But and when they gave them Dave Chappelle show, I would love for somebody to be like, man, like we giving you this show. We want you to the skits that I would write, the shit that I would write would be so fucking controversial and hilarious, you know, based on all this shit going on out here today. I be dreaming of shit like fucking Dave Chappelle meets Mad TV meets Saturday Night Live. You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel you.
like
And I think, well, here's the other thing: is people are so sensitive these days. Um,
so
you know,
sensitive.
like when I started at my job, I like to joke around. But I make a lot of racial jokes because although racism isn't funny, like actual racism, but sometimes it's just a way to really just lighten it up. So like at first I used to say these racial slurs, these racial like jokes, and it like a lot of the people like that I work with were like uncomfortable. But then like once they realized kind of like, yo, like that's just his way of lightening the mood. The whole warehouse now kind of just goes with it. Like, instead of just like, oh my God, like, no, just it's okay. I was like, listen, I said, we got a girl in there. She's she's gay, lesbian, whatever you want to say it. We make jokes about that all the time because we have an understanding that, like, yo, this is what we do. We want to make the work day as easy as possible for each other. We just want to get in there, do the job, but we can have a little fun in between there and just, take jabs at each other. It's funny. It's just like, you know, it's just something to really just keep the work day. We all don't want to do the job. So there's a way just to keep the work day as cordial, and calm, and nice as humanly possible. You know,
Hmm.
and as for dreaming, and I show this. I don't know if I've showed this to you before, but I'm going to show it again. This is my vision board right here. This is the vision board for 2024. And I can say that I've tapped into about 80% of this vision board.
Well,
Now, not everything's going to get done on it, obviously, but it's in the motion, you know? And then that way, I got the backside that I can start the next vision board for 2025. And then I also now have a focus book, I call this. And then
yeah.
this here, I got everything that I want to do. And if I come up with ideas, I write them in here. Write bullet points. Got about 3 pages of things so far. Because on top of that, when you vision and you dream, like you should dream big. You live
Hmm.
one life. And it seems like for you through this interview, you have gotten the idea that life is precious and you want to make it better for you and you want to make it better for your child, more importantly.
Hmm.
So, dream big, dream huge, and don't ever stop.
Fact.
So, now
Don't ever stop. Don't be like me. Let me be the example. Don't give up. Don't stop.
keep going.
Keep going.
So, now, of course, we can't end this off without talking about your podcast.
Hmm.
The Big Three Man Talk podcast, great show. I've been on there twice as a guest host. So it's you, Top TC, Wordplay, three great guys talking about real stuff. How did the idea for this show come together?
Man, it's just one of those things of like, just us being together, playing the game, you know what I'm saying? Like we'd be on PlayStation Network together and then, some of the conversations we have, you know, you should just be hot topics, you know what I'm saying? Like where, you always had like them one or two homeboys who really not involved in the conversation. They just sit back and laugh at everything or you know what I'm saying, get entertained by the debate. And then, man, y'all need to be on Twitch or y'all need to be on YouTube doing this shit. Like this hilarious. I love watching y'all debate or how these discussions are. just getting together, camaraderie at family events or friends events, like drinking, watching a game, and we get into heated debates. And once again, man, y'all, it's hilarious watching y'all debate each other. Like, why don't y'all start a podcast or do something? Do something like that. Y'all need to get into the podcast field. So eventually, it turned from one of those things where it wasn't someone telling us we should do it. We actually finally started trying to put the idea together to actually go out and do it, and that's where it came from.
Okay, okay, and how how has it worked out for you so far? Like how's the growth going for the show overall?
Uh, Honestly, man, it's slow, but it's the process. You know, excuse me.
Good.
It's a process, man. We can't give up on it. We just have to, keep trying to, pivot, reinvent, do something different, or just figure out a niche, and just try to run with it. See what's going to draw people's eyes and draw people's ears, but most importantly, attract people's minds to come and check us out and hear the things we have to say or have discussions with us and so on and so forth. Right now we just kind of taking a pivot on things, trying to, figure out what angle we're going to go and finalize that angle and go with it because we keep having, creative differences, I'll say, and, kind of putting a halt to things. But the Big Three Man Talk podcast has not gone anywhere. What I'm saying? We are still going to continue to, do live streams, and, I'll say just be on the lookout, and we'll post about that when we get ready to start doing some live streams again. Should be soon. Should be soon.
Okay, okay. Well, sometimes those creative blockages are for a reason because it means that whatever you're doing at this moment ain't right. So it's blocking you because it wants you. God wants you to take the time to figure out what it is to unlock, so it's bigger and better than what you had ever could have imagined. So it's
Praise.
going to come back.
So,
Absolutely, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So after all that, and you're doing your thing here, and you got the show going. You have everything you're looking to see. What's next in the immediate future for you? If you could think of anything that's new that's coming, or anything that's added to what you already do that's coming.
um, I think what's next in the future for me is just whatever the Most High has bestowed, upon my lively future. Um, you know, I really don't know. I really don't know. I'm just living and taking it one day at a time and tackling what I can, and whatever doors open, those are the doors that I go through if necessary or if it makes sense. And I'm just gonna let it rock like that, man. That I feel like that's the best move for me. So what I would want though, hopefully in the near future, a wife and some children and some more children.
Okay, okay. It's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah.
So now, where is what are your handles for your show and personally? If anyone who's watching this or is going to watch this back wants to follow you and start watching your show.
So you can follow us at Big Three Man Talk Podcast. Once again, that is at Big Three Man Talk Podcast. BIG3, the number three, Man Talk Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. We stream on all three channels. If you want to come and, just talk to me about some stuff, or watch some of my little silly voiceovers when I'm being an idiot, acting, giving animals a life and soul or whatever, or just singing on TikTok, having a good time and being silly. You can follow me at RANDB _87. That's RNB _87. And on TikTok, that's at RandB 2687. And just it's up from here, man. We just trying to attack all avenues. I'm just trying to attack everything I feel good about and everything I like to do, and just see what happens. See what happens with life.
Absolutely. So, as you know, I end every episode with a positive ending message. So that's where you say, even though there's been some gems in here, as I usually have some gems in every episode, but it's the positive message that goes from you to the audience. Anything you want to say, positive and uplifting.
I'll say this. Always know that if you want it to be, there will be brighter days ahead. Don't ever let the thunderstorm stop you from traveling, because there will be brighter days ahead. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on life. Just always try to put your best foot forward and pray. Repent on your sins. Talk to the Most High. Let Him be your guidance, and He can walk you through any forest, any wilderness, any jungle, any storm, anything. He can get you through it, and just keep Him first. And that's where I leave it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, RB, I would like to thank you for coming on, telling your story.
Thank you for having me, man.
Of course, anytime, anytime. And listen, if anyone wants to hear more from R&B, he is an honorary guest on Nerd Camp Sports every Monday.
Yeah.
So he will be on the R&B, the NFL preview edition of the show. That'll be Labor Day or September 2nd, 6 p.m. That's a little bit of a long show, as everyone knows. That one usually runs closer to like the 3-hour mark, just because we just got so much to talk about. But he will be joining us on there. Me and Radasha will be on tomorrow, 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. right here on Instagram Live. Thursday, I'll be back here again on Honest Tech with my boy Trayshawn Wiggins, who is a professional boxer. So this one I'm excited about. You know, first fighter
I'm
on.
excited about this one too.
you know,
I,
I'm
I
excited.
love boxing.
So we're gonna tap in on everything with him, and I'll be back next Sunday here as well. I'm moving to StreamYard probably September 1st. Honest Hour will be going away next week, or actually September 1st will be our last Sunday edition, because I do a sports show. I got to be able to watch football to talk about sports, right? And the Thursday shows will be flipping to Tuesdays. So it'll be Nerd Camp on Monday. It'll be Honest Hour on Tuesday. I'll be formally announcing these within a couple of weeks. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank R&B for coming on again. Everyone, go look at my aspirations, my not aspirations, affirmations for the week. Tomorrow's Monday, but you got to go to work. Everyone, have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Blessings.
Yes, sir.